Welcome back, everybody. That was kind of funny because I didn't hit the go live button, and I've been sitting here talking to you for like 5 minutes before I discovered that I wasn't streaming. So anyway, let's do a take two here. I didn't have a chance to test out mic levels very much, so if my voice is coming in a little bit too loud or too soft, let me know. And I got some background music playing, and that should still be fine at the same level that it was at. So what we're doing today is we're going to be making some meatballs. We've got, actually we're going to be doing two different types because I had a poll up in the channel, and there were some different sauces that we were going to do for this live stream. And the Swedish Meatballs and the Meatball Marinaras both got kind of the lion's share of the votes on that. And I think last time I checked they were dead even on that. Hey John, how's it going, man? So I decided, you know what, let's just do all five, because you know what, why not? If you got time to stick around and see them, that's great. If not, you can see them on replay. And if it's something you want to see later, I can even do full recipe videos for those at some other time and do all of the ingredients and calories and all that other stuff for you too. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to do a creamy tomato basil sauce. We're going to do the Swedish meatballs. We're going to do the marinara ones, obviously. We're going to do a little bit of sweet and sour. The sweet and sour you're really supposed to do in a slow cooker, so it does take a long time to do. It's like 2 or 3 hour process. So we're going to let it simmer in a pan, and we're just going to pretend it's been 3 hours because you can't really taste it to the camera anyway, and we're just going to assume all went to plan, and it's going to be great. Then also we got a little bit of honey garlic sauce as well, and I think that was all of them, right? Honey garlic, sweet and sour marinara, creamy tomato basil, yeah, and the Swedish meatballs. Okay, so the Swedish meatballs and the regular meatballs we're doing kind of like an Italian meatball and then the Swedish meatball. They're a little bit different, so we're going to start with our ingredients, and I'm going to put in all the ingredients into the meat that are common between the two. And then I'll kind of divvy it out a little bit because the Swedish meatballs get a little bit of cream and some other stuff in there that we're not going to be using for our regular ones. So let's get this started. Alright, getting this streaming stuff down a little bit now. Okay, so what we got in here is we got a little bit of 80% lean beef and a little bit of 85% lean turkey. We're going to go ahead and mix these together, and that's what's going to make our meatball base. You want to make sure you've got these kind of at a room temperature for just a little bit, just so they're not freezing cold. Mine are freezing cold because I didn't do that, but just pretend I didn't say that. Anyway, we will get these mixed up really good. You want to make sure that you get that combined as well as you can, because you don't want to get like parts of meatballs that are like totally turkey and some that are totally beef either. I thought about putting some pork in here too, but I thought that that might be a little bit too much. And I also thought about doing venison, and I couldn't find any venison, so that kind of just went out the window. Okay, once you've got that mixed up, sort of like that, pardon me while I wash my hands a little bit here, because that's going to be something that happens a lot today. Okay, so everything gets breadcrumbs, so we'll go ahead and throw those in. Now when you're doing meatballs, you're always like putting eggs and breadcrumbs and stuff like that in there. The difference really between a meatball and a burger is that burgers, you don't want to put anything inside the burgers. All the seasoning goes on the outside because you're not putting anything in there to kind of hold everything together. So if you do that, they tend to fall apart. We're going to be using some egg or some cream or something like that to keep all this together, so it's going to be fine. So we're going to put a little bit more of that in there. Just a little Italian breadcrumb. Mix that up really good. Okay. And then we got a little bit of salt and pepper combination. You can go right in there. So how you doing, John? Hanging in there? Thanks for coming to the stream, buddy. Okay. Once you got that mixed in there, now, since we're doing 5 different styles of meatballs, we don't need to really save too much of this. So we're just going to sort of put this on the side here. And we'll save about a fifth. That looks like about a fifth, right? Yeah, a little bit more. The Swedish meatballs are pretty good. There we go. Okay, so we're going to put these aside. There we go. We'll put this aside for our Swedish meatballs. Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate it, man. It's been a journey. It's been a real journey trying to get all this stuff to work, because I'm kind of biting off more than I can chew here a lot of times. I've got 8 cameras running right now, so it's stressful for sure. Okay, now we're gonna set this here. We're gonna throw in, oops, that would have been a big mistake. We'll leave that alone there. These are for the Italian meatballs. So we've got our herb combination here that we're throwing into the meatballs, and then here we've got some parsley, a little bit of basil, oregano, some dry onions, a little salt and pepper, you know, all that good stuff. And we're just gonna kind of throw that in there. Oh, and a whole bunch of Parmesan cheese, by the way. Okay, mix that up a little bit. And we'll put a little bit of minced garlic in here. Okay. Excuse me 1 second, I'm going to get a bowl for that, because I don't want that to just sit there on the side. That just sort of looks janky. Put that right there. Whoa. Okay. Now we've got most of our meatball stuff done. Now we're going to add in a little bit of eggs into this too. What I did right there was kind of a no-no. You don't want to break eggs on a sharp corner like that. You really want to do that on a flat surface. That way you have less chance of getting eggshells into your mix. And I'll probably just do that right now, since I said that. Okay, I'm going to mix this in really good. One second. Now we got the room, we can put in the rest of our turkey. We're going to be eating meatballs around here, I guess, for a while, because it's a lot. But I didn't want to run the risk of not making enough. You know what I mean? Have you ever been trying to entertain people and then you don't have enough food for them? That's not good. Okay. Now when you're doing this, you want to take a look at the consistency on your meat here. You see this is a little bit on the wet side, and we don't want the meatballs to be super wet when we're trying to roll them. And you know, if you do that, and I could probably put 1 egg too many in here, you could fix that by just adding a little bit more breadcrumb. Always just adding extra dry ingredient can fix a lot of that problem. little bit more in there. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna put a little bit more in there. Yeah, you know, that's actually good. You know, they keep pretty well. I can definitely do some leftovers, that's for sure. I think you might get sick of meatballs after about 2 or 3 days, though. Hey, Chris, how's it going, buddy? Yes, and very much. Yeah, and you might have missed earlier. I tried to get venison, and I couldn't find it here in town. It was just nobody wanted. You know, they were hiding it from me or whatever. But out here in Vegas, it's not always cut and dry to get the best ingredients out here. You would think that it'd be a little bit easier, but not so much. Okay, I'll try to keep this work area a little clean here. Okay, yeah, that's probably good. All right. Try a little bit more there, because I kind of overshot that egg. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Okay, there we go. So one thing about working with this kind of stuff, you have to wash your hands constantly. It gets sort of annoying. Nothing against washing hands, but geez, man, it's like 4 times already today. Okay, so we're just gonna roll these up. These are the Italian style meatballs. Like you can kind of see all the stuff over there. That's for our Swedish meatballs. We'll do those in a second here. But instead, we'll start rolling these up. It just depends on how big you want these meatballs to be. I kind of like them on the larger side. A good hack you can use is you can use an ice cream scoop if you want to get the stuff out in the same size. If you're not good at just kind of measuring, just like meatballs in your hand, and it does actually work really good. Like you see, if you want to press them together just a little bit. You don't have to squash it and try to kill the thing or anything, but you definitely want it to hold together. And we're just going to do a whole bunch like that. All right, so put this on the side. And we'll try to crank some of these out. So what are your favorite kind of meatballs, guys? I like the Swedish myself. I just can't eat them very often because there's all the cream and stuff involved with it, but man, I love those things. I've only had them a couple of times. In fact, I have a video on the channel where I made these Swedish meatballs, and if you guys know who PewDiePie is, he's you know, big YouTuber. He's got 111 million subscribers. I kind of just did a reaction to his video of him making Swedish meatballs because the guy's from Sweden. So I just took his little recipe that he had and just kind of modified it a little bit. But it's fun. I mean, I love cooking. It's just always an adventure. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do on the channel too is a lot of it's stuff I haven't done, or stuff that I'm not really very good at. Like I'm a terrible baker. I mean, really bad baker, and it's been shown on my YouTube channel that I'm not great at that. But I'm getting better. Always getting better. I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to do maybe, I'd say 4 meatballs for each of these sauces. so that way I don't do like a gazillion meatballs and have you stuck here watching me like roll meatballs until the end of time. I know with the Swedish ones you tend to get them a little bit smaller there too. There's a couple of ways we can do this. We can either do it in the oven or we can do them in a saute pan. I kind of like doing them in the saute pan just because you got a better chance of keeping them nice and round. There's pans that you can buy for your oven too that are designed for meatballs, and they look kind of like cupcake pans, and that you can kind of cheat and just kind of throw them in there and you get a nice round shape out of these meatballs without too much effort. If you put them in the oven, you're going to tend to have a flat spot on them unless you are really vigilant about turning those around. And the same goes for, you know, putting them in a pan too. You cook it too long on one side, it'll kind of flatten out, so it becomes a battle where you got to kind of constantly keep an eye on it. Keep moving stuff around. Okay, so we got 3. How many do we need? We've got 5 different kinds of meatball sauces we're doing, so we need 20. We need 20 meatballs. It's a lot. I shouldn't be doing all 5. Wow. Okay. I might have done these still a little bit on the wet side, because my recipe called for, last time I did these, I did them in much larger quantity, so I had to scale it down, and I might have kind of messed that up a tiny little bit here. So we got 5, 10. So there's going to be 16 of these, and then we'll save the last 4 for the Swedish ones. Which is kind of funny because there's going to be a lot of work involved for 4 meatballs, but that's okay. That's okay. Hey there, Frenchy Connection. I didn't see it in there. How are you? The Frenchy Connection is my wife, so she's sitting like 10 feet away trying to keep the dogs from freaking out. So she's going to be eating all these. So that's good, because I do her food prep for her, and that means maybe a little bit less prep. Deal is too big, but time will tell. Okay. Remember, the first time I had a really good meatball was back when I was 22 years old. I used to work for Wolfgang Puck. He had a restaurant here in Vegas that he opened called Spago, and it was actually a Hollywood place, and that's where they hold the Academy Awards all the time. And he opened a location here in Vegas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15. Get one more. And before Wolfgang Puck came to town, I mean, Wolfgang, personally, I kind of know him a little bit, and we just won't kind of go there because, yeah, it's a little cringy. But anyway, one thing about him is before Wolfgang Puck came to Vegas, let's get these out of the way. Before Wolfgang came here to Vegas, we didn't have any really, really high-end food suppliers. Vegas wasn't a town of like nice high-end restaurants. It was a town of, basically it was just a town of, $1.99 buffets and fast food. And just really cheap, you know, steak and eggs for $2.99, stuff like that. Hey Susie, how's it going? Yeah, Susie, we are gonna do them all. We just, you know, we were talking about the other day, and I just decided, why, you know what, why not? I'm making them. Why not just do it? Okay, I'm gonna get another bowl for these Swedishes. Okay, just to get you caught up, the Italian meatballs that we're using for the other stuff. Oh, I didn't make myself enough room here. Look at this. There we go. The Italian meatballs we made for the for all the other stuff. I make the Swedish meatballs different. I add cream and stuff to them. So we portioned out meatballs for the other 4 types, and then the Swedishes I just left a little bit of meat here on the side so we can do it a little bit differently. So hopefully this just works out. Okay, and what I'm going to do is move these out of the way and get another cutting board. Okay, so in addition to what we already got in here, we've got, let's see, we put the turkey and the beef in here, we got breadcrumbs, we've got a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's kind of where we stopped on this. What we're going to be adding now is a little bit of allspice, like that, and a little bit of nutmeg, and a little bit of heavy cream. Disregard that in there. I swear that wasn't in there earlier. I think that's just pepper. And a little bit of onion. We're going to saute this little bit of this onion down. We're not using this whole thing, just like a little part of it. And a little bit of butter for that. Because we're going to sort of soften this up on the, we're going to kind of saute these down a little bit and get them nice and soft. And then we'll mix them into all of this. So, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put in a little bit of nutmeg and allspice here. Stuff goes a long way. You don't gotta put a whole lot in, so be careful with that. Yes. Well, okay. That was different. Am I back online, honey? Yeah, I'm back, right? Okay. All right. That just scared the crap out of me. Okay, so we got these Swedish meatballs ready. We're gonna go ahead and get this onion ready now. So, again, gotta move all this stuff around here, and we're gonna move on over here. Let's see. We're gonna go to. I think we'll go to camera 5. Alrighty. Grab a little non-stick. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and get these onions ready. While that's heating up, I'm gonna throw a little bit of butter right there. And we're gonna get this out of the way. While that butter's heating up, we're probably gonna take about a quarter. Ooh, wow, I need to sharpen this. Okay. Okay, we're probably going to take, I'd say, about a quarter of this thing. Probably should be plenty. Yeah, I mean, I've been riddled with technical problems on these streams, like every single one of them. And that going out was, that's a first. That's a good thing about running a stream through StreamYard. That's the app we're using here. It holds the stream open for you if something like that happens. If I had just been streaming straight to YouTube, like right from my video switcher that I have here in the house, then it would have ended it and then the live stream would have been over. And then I would have, don't know what I would have done. But, so I guess that sort of paid for my membership there, huh? Okay, that's out of the way. And for this onion, we want to mince this sucker down pretty good. Don't have to worry about being all pretty with this or anything. We just want to cut this into tiny little pieces here. If you're not good with knife skills, a good tip is always have your fingers curled when you're grabbing onto something, and you want to run the knife down your knuckle. You don't want to be doing this and then cutting across your fingers or cutting like this. I see people do that all the time. You don't want to do that either. You want to protect those fingers. And take it from me, I've cut my hands so many times doing stuff like this, and every single time it's when you're just kind of have a brain fart or something and you're just not paying attention. Now we want to mince this down very small. And I don't know about you, I like onions, but don't need a big old chunk of onion like that or something sitting in the meatball. So how you doing, Susie? Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. I feel like I know you. I talk to you so much on the channel. It's one of my favorite things to do. I just love hearing your guys' stories and stuff. That's why I always try to make it a point to answer everybody's comments when they come in if I can, because you know, I figure you took the time out of your day to write a message. I mean, it's no small thing, really. I really appreciate that. The least I could do is answer you. I mean, once we get to like 100,000 subscribers or something, and there's like thousands of comments and stuff, that might become a problem. But I'm gonna try to not change anything until I absolutely have no choice. You know, a lot of channels, they hire people to answer their messages, but I mean, I don't know, that's just kind of weird. Because you're not writing a message to talk to somebody answering messages for me. You want to talk to me, right? Hey, Mission, how you doing? I believe Mission TV is checking in from Japan, I believe. I don't think I've ever seen you message anything before. I didn't see you subscribe like ages ago. I want to say Mission probably subscribed to the channel when I had something like 200 or 300 subscribers on it or something like that. Okay, there we go. I'm trying, Susie. I'm trying. It's tough sometimes, that's for sure, though. It's not the easiest thing in the world to try to make content all the time. Okay. Now let's take these onions and kind of cook those up. And really, we just want to get these nice and soft is what we want to do. You don't want to cook them through, we just want to brown them a little bit. Just so we can mix them into our stuff really good. So you don't want to have high heat on this. I'm just running like medium. And that's plenty. You can see these are already getting pretty squishy. That's why we cut them so small, just so we don't spend too much time doing that. In fact, we might not use all these onions. I'm going to kind of play it by ear a little bit. Oh, you're welcome, Susie. I always like hearing other people's perspectives about things too, because, you know, I don't know everything. I'm just some idiot on YouTube making food. And to be quite honest, I'd say probably the vast majority of subscribers that I have are probably better at it than I am, to be totally honest. I mean, I've probably learned more about cooking since I've had the channel online than I ever knew before, really. Okay, these are done. Oops. All right. So we got our Swedish meatball mix back again. I can't quite get that right. That's weird. Okay, we're gonna take. You know what? Yeah, that's enough. Took about half of them, so really that's like about an eighth of an onion there, not a whole lot. Okay, so we'll mix that around here. Now you can see this turned out a little bit wet, just like the other ones did. So we're gonna fix that with a little bit more breadcrumb. There you go, that should be good. Really what I did was probably just too much cream in there. It's real easy to put too much of anything in there. It especially depends if you start changing what's in your recipe too. I mean, very small line between having dry meatballs and having ones that fall apart. So, in fact, probably what we should have done would be after you make your meatballs like this, it's probably a good idea to put them in the refrigerator for a little bit. Just so they kind of harden a little. That way it makes them a little bit more resilient. But you know what? We're on a live stream. We can't do that. So. Oh, you saw? Was that Bean over here, honey? Was that Moo Moo? Moo Moo. We have 4 French bulldogs down here. We've got Moo Moo. We've got Bean. We've got Captain Chocolate Chip, which we just call Chip because that's a long name. And then Dolly Parton. So let's see who shows up over here. Oh, everybody's coming. Moo Moo! Moo Moo! There she is. Hi, Moo Moo! Oh, Can't pet you right now. Oh, and there's Chip, right there. Hi, Chip. Oh, yeah, see, now they smell the meatballs. So, well, they're probably going to be here the rest of the video, staring at me. Okay. These are going to be a little bit softer. A little bit of cream in these though, so they're going to be that way a little bit. Okay, there's two. Okay. There's three. If you hear fan noise in the background, I apologize for that. It's the camera right here that I'm using, that you're looking at right now, is it's a GoPro, and the thing overheats like constantly. I mean, I had to buy a new camera to record videos on because it was. I mean, I had to put the thing in the, it would shut off on me constantly, and I have to take it and put it in the freezer for like 20 minutes, and then take it out and continue recording. So my recordings were taking forever to get done. Okay, so maybe we should do, get these out of the way. I think we're gonna do the maybe the Swedish ones first. You know what, we want these to set for a little bit. That way they'll dry out a tiny little bit. They'll look a little bit more like these other ones. So we'll go ahead and start sauteing these things. So, where are we going? We're going to 4. All right. Okay, we are gonna cook these meatballs on the stove top instead of baking them. So we gotta be kind of careful with these. They seem like they're holding together pretty good, so probably won't have too many problems. In fact, while that's warming up, I think I'm gonna add a little more breadcrumb to the Swedish meatball ones. You're talking about using your pans. Always make sure you preheat those. Oh, good. Yeah, it's the same little jazzy song that I use for the background of my regular videos too. I forget what it's called. It was from the YouTube studio. So this is one of their little free songs they offer. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of oil in the pan here. So I can clean my hands up. I like to use avocado oil, because the thing about avocado oil is it's got a really high burn temperature, so it won't turn into smoke too terribly quick. So we won't have to call the fire department out. You'll be able to tell that that oil is ready because you'll start to see little ripples starting to form on the surface. Another good indicator is that fire and smoke and stuff turning black, and that's a good way to tell it's hot too. But we hopefully don't want to get it that far. You see Mumu back there just hanging out. She's a lot smaller than she looks. That dog is tiny, and then she looks huge in that background. I got 2 of them just sitting here watching me now. Okay, you can see those ripples starting to form on the oil right there. That's how we know but that's ready to go. Yeah, not Lulu, Moo, like a cow. Lulu's a good name too, though. Honey, should we change his name to Lulu or her name? No. No, she likes Moo. Okay. Okay, let's start putting some of these meatballs in here. We want to be really careful with these when we put them in here, because we don't want them to fall apart on us. So I'm going to see if I can fix that focus too. That's looking pretty wild. There we go. Hold on. There we go. That looks better. Key to doing this is we don't want to have too many of these in the pan at one time. If you crowd your pan up, you're asking for trouble. So this will probably take a few little tries to get this right. And also, when you first put this stuff in there, you don't want to move them around too much. You want to let it form a little bit of a crust, otherwise it's going to get ripped apart. Okay. Okay, I guess I will just, we'll come back to that periodically. I was going to talk to you guys. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Just a little bit of background. There's a show on Fox called MasterChef, and I haven't been on that show, but I have tried out for it like 5 or 6 times, and I think that show is now canceled, unfortunately. But Gordon Ramsay's, it's one of Gordon Ramsay's cooking shows, and they don't take people that are currently working in restaurants or anything like that. It's all like amateur cooks and that type of stuff. You know, if you're currently in the culinary business, then they've got that the Hell's Kitchen show, and that's what that's for. But I tried out for that show 6 times, and the last time I got up to something like the 6th round, so I was like pretty stoked about that. And the ironic thing is that the food I brought turned out, I thought it was the worst I've ever brought to audition on that show, and it happened to be the one that they liked the most. So, you know, go figure. But anyway, that was at first they bring you into this room, and you have to have your food already prepared with you, but you sit out in the audition area for something like 3.5 hours. And then you got to bring your food out, you know, and they bring you into these rooms 30 at a time. And hold on, let me switch back to 4 here. And I'll do a little picture-in-picture. All right. Okay, yeah, you know what, though, if I do that, that's not going to be good. So let's see, let's get 4. So, yeah, let's leave it like that. Okay. Be careful when you're moving these around. once we have these kind of sort of hardened, then we can just sort of roll them around in the pan like this. There we go. The key is we want to try to get these cooked as evenly as we can. So right now they're not looking hot, but they will. Trust me. There. Sorry. Yeah, you can see they're cooked right here on these sides. Getting a little bit of a crust on there. And once the bottom sides here are looking kind of like that, then we can just start kind of shaking the pan around and rolling them. And we're just going to do that continuously to try to get them to cook evenly on all the sides. In fact, we're going to run a second pan here. Try to get all these working at the same time. Try to cut the time down on this thing. Sauce up here. Whoa, pardon all the noise. Kind of goes with the territory, I guess. Okay. Now hopefully we can get all the rest of our meatballs into this pan here. I should be able to get all of them in there except the Swedish ones. And then by then we might have a pan available for that. I'm not going to worry about like cross-contaminating them or anything too much, just because the ingredients are pretty similar. I was just more concerned with the cream and stuff getting into the Swedish meatballs, so I don't care if they get a little bit of an Italian flair to them. Okay, almost there. Go. Oop, you see one kind of broke on me a little bit. You don't tell, I won't tell. Get up there. Okay. goes in here. Oh, that's not getting hot at all. What the heck happened there? You know what? We're gonna pull that right back out of there. That was a no-no. Always wait for your pan to get nice and hot before you put any protein in there. That's how you get things sticking. Especially when you're talking about stainless steel. Oh, that's not the right one. Let's go to 4. Okay. Let's see, now we got these to the point where we can kind of roll them around like that now. Right, I believe that is hot enough now. Yep. I'm gonna crowd this pan a tiny bit, but if I don't, we're gonna be here a while. So tell me about yourselves, guys. What is for dinner tonight? We're on the Pacific Coast, so it's only 4:56 over here right now. So not in the same part of the country. There's a lot of you. I think a lot of my people that are subscribed are on the East Coast. So maybe you already had dinner. Yep, I'm gonna start turning these over. Oh, these non-sticks, it makes it a lot easier to deal with these. These are Ninja Foodi Never Stick pans. Not expensive pans at all, really. I mean, I kind of got them almost sort of like a joke, because at their price, I was like, okay, well, you know what, if they suck, I can return them. And if they don't suck, you know, I can have a decent review video out of it or something like that. I didn't expect these pans to really perform well at all. Because, number one, they're really light, and that's a dead giveaway that, you know, the pan doesn't have a lot of layers. And really all this is Ninja's Never Stick layer here on the inside, and then they've got a stainless steel exterior. So, and I think they've got there's an aluminum base also. Or, I'm sorry, a stainless steel base. That way it works on the induction cooktops like this. But I've been pretty happy with them. You know, they work pretty good. with those. These ones are getting there. But we do keep in mind that we've got a really thick meatball here. I mean, that is, I don't know, that's about 2 inches wide. So these are definitely going to take a little bit of time to cook. So keep making sure you shake them around, so you can even cook on all the sides. I'll probably take that out of there. Get rid of the evidence of my mistake. These we can already start turning these things. A little manual action here. Again, just be careful not to manhandle these things too much, especially when they're not cooked through yet, because you can rip these in half really, really easy. Ooh, that's saucy. Another thing to remember is if you're doing this and you're shaking anything in a pan and you got a glass induction cooktop, not a good idea to slide that across the surface while you're doing this. You should always pick your pan up first and then shake it and then put it back down. These cooktops can scratch a little bit on the easy side. We've been really lucky with ours, but we're also really vigilant about making sure we don't do what I just said. But you know what? You can forget really easy. But our cooktop is about, I don't know, about a year and a half old, and so far it's pristine. So don't complain about that too much. I just tasted that little piece of meatball I had left over. That was pretty darn good, actually. Sweet potato fries. You know what? We're going to have to highlight that. Sweet potato fries. Oh, get back up there. Sweet potato fries with chicken drumsticks marinated in Everglades seasoning, rolled in buttermilk dressing, crushed tortilla chips. Wow. That's awesome, Susie. So I know whose house we gotta go to dinner next. Okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna transfer all these other meatballs here. Like these right there, we're gonna transfer those into that pan so I can free that pan up. Again, gotta be careful with that because these are cooked different times already. they're not too far apart. And we're crowding this up quite a bit, but I need to get those other ones started. Yeah, just a quick note about this this non-stick pan. I did put a little bit of oil in there, you saw, and I was waiting for that to heat up. Technically, you don't really got to do that with a non-stick pan like that. You could just you can just heat it up and then throw the stuff down. It'll be fine. Stuff's not supposed to stick, but I find that that's not always the case with these non-sticks. I had some Henkel's non-sticks that we paid quite a bit of money for, and they stuck like you wouldn't believe, like right away, first use. Yeah, make sure you make enough for everybody though. Let these cook a little bit. And when we finish the Swedish meatballs, we can just finish those right in this pan. So those are the first ones we're going to do, actually. Okay. So it's getting to be a lot of meatballs. Yeah. Usually when I do these, I put a little bit of cayenne pepper into them and a little bit of red chili flake. That way I can go around saying that's a spicy meatball to people. But I think I've said that 1,000 times, so people don't think it's funny anymore. It's just classic overused joke, I guess. If you want, you can always kind of help these out by taking some of the juice here. Just getting that into your spoon. Just kind of pouring that over your stuff. It's called French basting. If you're cooking like a piece of salmon or something like that on here, this is a really good way to get a lot of flavor into it. Keeps them from drying out too. These are getting pretty close. We're getting there, folks. We are getting there. Let's see. Read an article recently that non-stick pans should never be sprayed with non-stick spray. That it ruins the coating of the pan. I guess that's why I went. Yes, non-stick pans don't do well with non-stick spray, and it's not necessarily because the non-stick spray like kills the pan or anything like that. Non-stick sprays will leave a coating, and that coating will harden and it's very sticky. Imagine if you just took like some glue or like some Elmer's glue or something and rubbed it on over it, and that glue would just stay wet. Well, or semi-wet or something like that. Well, it's kind of like that, where it just promotes things sticking to it. You can get around that if you clean the pans really, really well after each use. But that gets to be a real pain in the neck, because if you scrub the non-stick surface too much, then you end up scraping up your non-stick surface. So, you know, I've always ended up using non-stick sprays with non-stick pans because I never really had any that I thought did a decent job. And then we got these ones, and in fact, I'll show you something really quick here. So you can see that these just slide around. I mean, granted, there's a little bit of oil left over in this pan from those last meatballs, but I mean, these have no chance of sticking here. They're just sliding around. This one's not even really cooked yet, and it's just like a boss here. As far as durability on these things go, the Ninja non-sticks, you don't have to use Teflon utensils with them. You can use metal, and it's supposed to be okay, but I'll tell you what, I don't really trust that. I think if you want your pans to last a long time, maybe it's better not to listen to that, just to be safe. That being said, I mean, you've probably seen stuff on my YouTube channel, and I definitely use like metal whisks and stuff like that in these saucepans, and I haven't seen anything scratch yet, so far so good. Okay, these are getting ready to be done. So what I might do is I'm going to set the oven for 200 degrees here. That way I can put these out on a sheet pan, and a sheet pan with some parchment paper, and they'll stay nice and warm while we're working on these sauces. We are probably about 5 minutes or so. So we're getting pretty close to starting these sauces. The sauces are going to take no time at all. So I mean, I'm probably going to be able to get through all 5 of those in, I don't know, like 15 minutes or something like that. I would take a guess. How do you think these look? Pretty good, huh? Give these a couple more minutes just to make sure they're all cooked. Remember, we did put these in here in 2 batches, so I don't want anything to be undercooked, especially since we got turkey in there. That's I don't think you want medium rare turkey. This doesn't sound like the best thing in the world. Good. You notice that we're using non-stick? I'm sorry. You notice that we're using stainless steel right here. A full stainless steel pan and nothing is sticking to the bottom. That's what happens when your pan is nice and hot before you put anything into it. And if you just wait for a crust to form before you start moving things around. Really, I hear a lot of people that they season stainless steel pans and stuff like that. If you leave stuff on there long enough and you're patient, you don't necessarily need to do that. I mean, if you look down here, we've got a little bit of stuff stuck to the bottom, but I mean, that's really just herbs and stuff falling out of the meatballs. You can see they're getting there. You can see they do really keep a pretty nice round shape if you do them this way. It's a little, it's like a little bit flat, but it's not really a problem. As long as you keep rotating them around, they end up pretty round. And really, if they taste good, who cares, right? It's like if somebody wants pineapple in their pizza or something, who cares? Do I want pineapple in my pizza? Nah, probably not. But to each their own. You know what I mean? Who am I to say what you're allowed to like and what you're allowed to not like? You know. When I used to work, when I worked for Wolfgang, one of the things the chefs would do all the time over there is they would kind of chastise people when they would order, when orders would come in for like a medium well steak or something like that. And I did see once or twice while I was there, someone refused to do it because they had this whole thing where they go, oh, well, you know what, that's ruining the food and this and that, and we're not going to prepare it that way, and you're gonna take it the way we serve it. And that was I don't know, that was pretty eye-opening to me because it's not, didn't agree with that at all. But you know what? The person accepted that, and the guy asked for a mid-well steak, and he ate it mid-rare, and had a smile on his face about it. So who knows? Maybe he's a convert now. Same thing goes with steak sauce. If you like steak sauce, that's great. I mean, really though, the mark of a really good cook would be to be able to make you a steak that doesn't require steak sauce. But, what about those people that just like the taste of the steak sauce? There's not really a whole lot you can do about that. And, that's what they like. Who cares? Okay. This is getting there. Alright. Okay, you know what? We might just let this simmer. And let's keep an eye on it. Now we're back to our meatballs here for the Swedish. And those these are ready for the sauce. Alright, so let's do this. Well, thank you very much there, Frenchy Connection. Okay, so what we are going to do here is we're going to start our Swedish meatballs. Well, not really start them, they're already started. But what we're going to need here to do the sauce is a little bit of heavy whipping cream, a little bit of beef broth, a little bit of low sodium soy sauce, a little bit of butter, and a little bit of cornstarch. This is going to be last because this is just going to thicken the sauce up. Okay, let's go back to these. Okay, so we are going to make the sauce right in here with the meatballs. In fact, you know what? I'm going to move the meatballs out of this thing for a second. Because I think I'm going to bust these things if I'm not careful. Okay. Okay, so we got our butter. There we go. Ooh, that's hot. I want this to be like on a medium low. Okay, and then we're going to add our cream. The amount we add in here doesn't really matter too much. We want this heat to be pretty low. I probably should have waited till it got down a little bit more, but that's okay. You know what? We'll give it more cream. You know what? That's it. Use up the cream. Whatever doesn't get used is going away anyway, so why not? Something like this, you want to keep stirring it too. And you want to thicken this up. We are using heavy cream, so it will thicken on its own. But we want to kind of help it out a little bit. We're going to add our beef broth just a little bit. Usually the cream and the beef broth, you're talking about equal parts. So I probably would put some more in there because I sort of went crazy with the cream. You can tell, you can see the color changing. It's a kind of a light, sort of light browny color. It's kind of where you want that to be. A little bit of soy sauce. There we go. It all kind of depends on the color you want too. Now, a sauce like this, you want to make sure that you're not adding any kind of salt or anything to it. Because that soy sauce, even though I'm using a low sodium soy sauce, that stuff is pretty salty. So don't run the risk of over salting your stuff, that's for sure. You might even use a whisk on this. Okay, now to thicken the sauce, all we got to do is use a little bit of this here cornstarch. And what we want to do with that, moving back to number 6 there. Okay. See these meatballs? Let's kind of set those here. Okay. we don't want to put this cornstarch directly into the sauce, because if you do that, then you're gonna have basically you're gonna have dumplings. We don't want that. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of hot water. In fact, I'll just take a little bit of water here, and we're gonna microwave this really quick. And we're gonna do what's called a slurry. And what a slurry is we're gonna take this cornstarch here and mix it with a little bit of hot water, a little bit at a time, and mix it up really good with a whisk, which I'll grab right now. And we're gonna turn it into kinda, sort of like a paste. It's gonna look like, it'll kind of look like really thick oatmeal or something like that. We're gonna turn it into a paste and make it nice and smooth, and then we can start sticking it into that sauce right there. Okay. Doesn't have to be super hot, but you want it to be hot enough to where this is gonna be able to get dissolved. Cornstarch doesn't do well with it doesn't mix well with cold liquids, and it doesn't mix well when you have stuff that's not liquid also. That's why when you mix it directly in the food and it'll get on a little piece of chicken or something like that, and then you got like a chicken with like this white powdery stuff stuck to it and whatever, that's kind of what happens. Okay, now what? That sauce has got more soy sauce. It needs to be a little bit darker. There we go. Okay, let's see. Okay, that is too hot. It's boiling, it's too hot. You know what? We are just gonna be on the safe side here. Just a little bit. Probably not the best thing in the world to use would be a regular cup like that that's made of glass. That's what we got though, so that's what we gotta use. Okay, so we take a little bit of the cornstarch and let's kind of mix it in here. And if I was a smarter person, I'd use a bigger container, like that. You see all that gobbledygook down there? That's what would happen if you just threw it in there. Okay. Now if you put a lot of water in there, you won't really get a slurry because there's not really enough cornstarch in there to make one. So you can always just add a little bit more. Okay, so we'll just take a little more cornstarch, throw that in. Like that. Okay, and that is looking better. Yeah, I put way too much in there. Actually, I had way too much water in there. There we go. There we go. Now we're cooking. I don't know how much you can tell by looking at that, but it's kind of pasty. It doesn't have to be like super duper thick like toothpaste or anything like that, but you definitely want it to be thick. It's activated by heat, so when we put this into our sauce, it's going to thicken that a lot. Okay, and we'll try that now. Okay. Get this out of here. I'm going to use the whisk. See, and it mixes right in there. There's no sign of any chunks. See, and again, I'm using that wire whisk here. See, and if I just do this here, you can see how thick that's gotten already. I mean, I really haven't done anything, but just looking at this, I mean, look at that. Some good stuff right there. Look at it, man. Looking awesome. Okay, so we can throw our meatballs back in. And give these a nice coating. Let some of the sauce soak into these a little bit. Okay. And this one, just about done. Let's get her plated up. All right. So let's take that. That. Number 2. Number 3. Oops. And then our 4th one right on top there. And a little more sauce around. Doesn't look too bad, huh? Yeah, that is, that's the Swedish meatballs right here. So, yeah, the camera is like opposite to the direction I'm going here. So there you go. Okay, we'll put that out of the way. Move on to number 2. All right, so our second one we're gonna do, let's get this pan off of here. Oops, put that right there. My kitchen. Okay, now, let's do the sweet and sour. This is easy, like really, really easy. All we need is some sugar-free grape jelly, a little bit of ketchup. I'm using Kroger's 50% sugar and salt, I think. In fact, I'll grab this for you so you can see it if it's something you're interested in. It's Kroger sells this 50% less sugar and sodium in this ketchup. And it tastes just like regular ketchup. It's really good. And you know, only 4 grams of carbohydrates per tablespoon. It's not bad. 15 calories. Typically this kind of thing has a lot of sugar in it, so not bad. Okay, in addition to that, got sidetracked for a second, we got a little bit of monk fruit sweetener. You might not need the monk fruit sweetener, it just depends on how sweet you want the sweet to be. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, no problem, Susie. Thanks for coming by. Just catch the replay, you can see the other 4. I appreciate you. Okay, anyway, we've got the monk fruit sweetener here. You don't necessarily have to use the monk fruit sweetener. It just depends on how sweet you want the sweet portion of the sweet and sour. I like that part pretty sweet, so we'll take a little bit of monk fruit sweetener and add that into it. So we're just going to go ahead and go back here again. See if I can get a little better view. Okay. We're just going to take our grape jelly and throw that right in here. This is going to be really easy to do, by the way. Then we're going to take our ketchup, mix that right in there as well. I know it sounds disgusting and weird because before I knew how to make sweet and sour sauce, I didn't realize you could do it this way, and it was just, I don't know, wasn't a big fan. And our monk fruit sweetener. You have to bear with me because I only have 1 whisk. I'll stir that up. And we're just kind of let that melt a little bit and just turn into just like a little regular sauce. To get that combined really good. Okay, kind of like that. And really, this is just gonna simmer for a while. In fact, we're gonna come back to this last. So we're just gonna take 4 of our meatballs, put them right in there, like that. And we're gonna go ahead and get these covered really good with this sauce. This is something you'll want to stir every once in a while too. We're going to put this on the back burner. See, just like that, with your sauce. And we can just let this sit because we want it to really get on that flavor. Like I was telling at the beginning of this video, at the beginning of the live stream actually, this is one that you would typically do in a slow cooker, this part, and you let it go for about 2 hours or so on low temperature. We don't have the luxury of that kind of time, so we are taking a shortcut. So obviously we're just going to have this on a nice low temperature. Set that aside. Okay. All right, now let's see what we got next here. The marinara, we'll do that one last because that's a little bit involved. Let's see. Okay, now we can do the tomato, basil, and cream. So basically what we got here is we got this basil plant. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong thing here. There. Got this basil plant. That's going to be last. You don't ever take fresh basil and mix it into anything. That's just kind of go on the side. You want your fresh herbs to be more like a garnish. You don't want to mix those in. It's going to turn them brown immediately and they're going to be gross. Okay, we've got heavy whipping cream. Once again, tomato paste, a little bit of sour cream, a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and a little bit of salt. A little bit of oil, and a little bit of minced garlic. Okay, so let's go back to our pan over here. Then I'm going to redo this. In the meantime, I'm going to stir that up a little bit. Let's leave that right in there. Okay. Take a little bit of our oil here, put that right in. Let that heat up. Okay. Give that a second to get nice and hot for our garlic. Now, when we put the garlic here in the pan, we don't want it to get annihilated, okay? We want to just cook this a little bit just to get it kind of browning a little bit. And then we want to start adding our other ingredients. So it also means we don't want to overheat the pan, so you just want to heat that up just like on a medium heat is plenty. Whoa. Okay, there's our garlic. In fact, we might even turn that down a teeny bit. Okay, let's get this can of tomato paste open. Just so we have all of our stuff ready to go. Whoop. Oh, good thing I bought all this extra whipping cream and stuff. Louie, if you're out there watching, trust me, I'm not eating all this. Believe me. Louie's the head of my bicycle racing team. I'm not supposed to eat a lot of this stuff. Okay. Now we can bring that temperature down to low again. Back in with the cream. A little bit of our tomato paste, put that in here. The amount of tomato paste you put in here just depends on how much tomato flavor you want in this sauce. Remember, tomato paste is basically super duper concentrated tomatoes. So be wary of that when you're putting that in there, because it'll a little bit does go a long way, and you're gonna get big time tomato flavor to it. Stir this around. I want to get this nice and smooth. See all these chunks here? Not good. You don't want those. You see how red it's turning this sauce already. I like a red sauce, so that's good for me. A lot of people like it to just be just a tiny bit pink. Keep in mind we do have other ingredients still going into this too. Okay, so that's in there. Now we're gonna add the Parmesan cheese and the salt. The salt on that is definitely optional. Keep in mind that tomato paste is a little bit salty, so don't put it in there if you don't think you need it or if you're not sure. You can always put that in last if you're concerned about it. Okay, and then a little bit of sour cream. Put that in here. Brings all that sour cream. Good stuff. That's looking pretty good, if I don't say so myself here. It's looking like good stuff. I'm just going to do a quick taste on this. Make sure that's right. Yep, that's good. Okay, now we're going to let that sit for just a second here. And then we're going to chiffonade some basil. And basically that's just a fancy way of saying we're going to cut some basil. It's a fancy chef term. But we're not going to be like that. The best way to do that is you're just going to take a bunch of these basil leaves and just stack them. Just stack them right on top of each other. So that boom, that boom. Depends on how much you like basil. I like basil a ton, so I'm going to put a lot on here. So there we go. And that one should be enough. Okay, and what you do is you take the end here and you're going to roll this up, all of it together, like a little joint. Not that I know anything about that, but just saying. Okay, and once you're rolled up, you just kind of cut right across it like this. Just be careful not to crush it or anything. Don't cut your fingers either, because you don't want to do that. And there you go, you got a nice chiffonade on your basil. Looks pretty good, huh? Okay, so now we are ready to plate number 2. Okay, so put that aside, like that. Get another plate, like that. And let's get 4 of our meatballs here. Actually, you know what? We're not ready to plate yet. Almost forgot the best part. Gotta put those in here and get them lathered up really good. Wow, looks good. Looks good. If you want this a little thicker, you can certainly do that. and that would just require you to either put a little bit of cornstarch in there, or better yet, a little bit more paste will work. That'll turn it really red though. So what I would recommend doing is a little bit more sour cream. That will make that probably exactly what you're kind of thinking of. Okay, so I'm going to take our meatballs. We're just going to do that same boring arrangement, but it works. Okay, and then now, let's kind of do it the same way we did before. Just a little bit on top, just like that. You won't go too swirly. If you want, you can like kind of do like the chefy thing and kind of go like this across if you want to. See how I kind of did a crappy job of it? So we'll just kind of fix it now. Just go like that. There we go. Like that. And then just like a little bit of basil here. Oh, see that? It's not a little bit of basil. It's far too much. What do you think, Momo? Good? Is it good? Okay. And there we go with this one. Give you a closer up. This is the creamy tomato basil sauce on that. Looks pretty yummy, huh? All right. Okay, let's get that sauce off. Heat. Okay. These sweet and sour ones, we'll go ahead and plate those up now. So let's go ahead and go right back there again. Sweet and sour. That's looking pretty good. This one you want a lot of sauce on there, definitely. Okay, and this is our sweet and sour. Look at that. Looks delicious. I want to eat these. Okay, next we are looking at, we're getting there, only 2 left. We are doing the honey garlic sauce. There's a little bit of sesame involved too. So what we've got here is some sesame seeds, a little bit of oil, again. We got some honey, got a little bit of water, got some more of that cornstarch. We've got a little bit of pepper, and I'm using some Korean barbecue spice mix. In fact, I'll show you what that is in case it's something you might want to go get. It's just this Korean barbecue kick. It's got a little bit of red pepper and stuff in it. Really, you should use Chinese spices instead, but these are really, really tasty. If you've ever had bulgogi, that's what they use this for, and it's really fantastic. And it'll give you a little different flavor too that you might not be expecting. No salt in here because our next ingredient, which is the soy sauce right there, that's, even though it's low sodium, that's got a lot of salt to it, so you really, really don't want to oversalt this. And a little bit of minced garlic. So, back to the pan again. My kitchen is going to be a disaster. Alright, here we go. Medium heat. Stir these meatballs that we got sitting here again. We're getting there, guys. We are getting there. Okay, and let's let that heat up again. Okay, so throw in the oil. First thing we're going to do is get the garlic going on this one. So we want to let that oil heat up nice and good before we take that garlic and throw that in there. Let's give that a second. Once again, in case you didn't see earlier, there's Moo Moo in the background again. We want that to be bubbling a tiny, tiny little bit. You'll be able to see waves in it when it is the correct temperature. And we're getting there. Almost. Let's see. Getting close. Okay. Garlic. Turn it up a little bit. Okay. Okay, we only want this to soften these up. We don't want to cook these or brown them or anything. So we're only going to give it a minute or so here. And we don't want this to be on super high heat either. Just medium heat is plenty. That's a really common thing, and it's something I tend to do sometimes, is overcooking the garlic. It's turning brown. It's cooked too much. So we just want this to be like that. And then we're going to add in our honey. This is a very simple sauce here. Make sure you get all that honey out, because it's going to matter. There we go. A little bit of soy sauce. I want to make sure this gets combined really well and mixed. The honey will, it's pretty thick. It's going to take a little bit to break that down. A little bit of water. It's about equal parts with the honey for this. maybe a tiny bit less honey than water. Add in the herbs. In fact, I'm going to use the whisk for this. Okay, and now that we got all that in there, we just need to deal with the cornstarch. Alright, now the cornstarch, this is going to thicken the sauce, but like the other one that we did with the cornstarch, we don't want to throw this straight in there, otherwise you're going to have lumps and stuff like that. So we're going to get some water and heat it up. And then we're going to add that cornstarch to the water and then mix it up really good. You don't need a whole lot, just a little bit. Just enough to facilitate the cornstarch. And remember, a little bit does go a long way. It's not going to really seem like the cornstarch is getting that thick in here, but once you mix it into the sauce, it's heat activated, so it's going to get it a lot thicker. Okay. Back on the sauce there for a second. See, this actually smells really, really good. Okay. That water is nice and hot. So, pardon me while I clean this whisk again, because I got one. Just gonna mix all that cornstarch in here. Just gonna mix that all together and create what we call a slurry. Just like this. Okay. Now for this, it just didn't go into that sauce, and we're going to mix it right in, and that is going to thicken that sauce like you wouldn't believe. So, we'll just get that out of there. Let that sit for a second and it'll be amazing. In fact, we might even need a tiny bit more here. In fact, we're going to let this cook. I'm going to make a little bit more, just in case. Might not. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, but I don't think that this is going to thicken as much as I want it to. If you bring the temperature up, that can help that process too. again. Yeah, we definitely need more. That's kind of surprising. They had a lot in there. Yeah, see how this turns into like a little pasty thing going on there? That is going to help a lot. In fact, probably should have more water in here. And we'll just go ahead and heat up a little bit more water and mix this in. Okay. Let's see how this works. Yeah, that's much better. As I messed it up the first time there, it's a little bit more work this time around. Not a big deal though. A little bit more of that into our sauce. That is already looking pretty darn good there. It's about the thickness I wanted right there. Okay, now we just take our 4 meatballs, throw those in here, kind of mix those around. This one's not going to be a thick coated thing, it doesn't really work that way, but it's going to be really good anyway. Okay, now we are ready to plate that up. And then we'll be working on our last one here in a second. Oh, last but not least, we want a little bit of sesame there. Don't forget that. Okay, just got our plate down. Meatballs. Run out of utensils here. A little bit more of that sauce. That. And we'll put a little bit more sesame seed around, like that. So now this is the garlic, the honey garlic sesame. That's looking delicious. This might be my favorite looking one so far. So, looking pretty good. Now we can get on to our last of our little projects here. Okay, gotta clean my workspace here real quick. All right. Last sauce, guys. Okay, and the last sauce is the marinara. Let's just clear some space here, because we are running low. Definitely running low on that. Okay, so for the marinara, we got some tomatoes, those right there, a little bit of garlic, got some shallot, and we have a bit of an herb combination here, right there. We've got some bay leaves in there, we've got a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, let's see what else we got in there. Basil, oregano, actually no basil now, we're using fresh basil. We've got oregano, salt, pepper, parsley, cilantro, and a tiny bit of crushed red pepper. Not much at all, just a pinch, because a little bit goes a long way. So we're going to chop up our shallot first, get these out of the way. Okay. Okay, we're just going to cut all the end pieces of this off. Shallot was kind of messed up. They didn't have very good ones at the store, so I had to kind of make do with what we could get. Okay, go ahead and peel this off. Just the top layer. And you can take the second layer if you want to. It tends to be a little bit on the dry side. You want it to be a nice light color like that. This is not garlic, this is a shallot. Same family, just a lot sweeter. And we're gonna slice this up and dice it really good. You don't have to be all hoity-toity and perfect with this, because we're going to be dicing this thing and chopping it down really small, so don't worry too much about being all correct and perfect. Just be careful when you're chopping these to keep your fingers folded over, so you're not running the risk of cutting your hands. See, I'm making a massive mess here. If you're going to cook in your kitchen, that's going to happen. Don't fret. You want to mince this down until you get really as small as you can really have patience to get them. They're going to kind of melt down a little bit on their own, but we want these to be tiny if we get them that way. Keep in mind, I'm using a lot of shallot here. Probably could have just used half of it, but I'm going to be putting the rest in the fridge to use for something else. So we're not going to be using this whole thing. And this should probably be enough here. Okay. Got that down. Now it's on to the tomatoes. So, clean that cutting board off. We're just going to be doing a kind of a quick once over on it because I'm trying to save as much time as possible here for you. Make sure you're using a clean towel when you do that so you don't have any cross-contamination. And we're going to cut some of these Roma tomatoes. Probably, since we're only doing these for 4 of these, yeah, you know what? We'll chop them all up. Who cares? Alright, when you cut these, you want to cut them from the inside once you can. Like, you don't want to turn it over this way and cut through the skin. Unless you have really, really sharp knives, then that's fine. But that tends to, I mean, if your knives aren't really sharp, it can kind of slide around here like that because these are very slippery. Much easier if you just go from the inside and cut them like that. So cut them in half again, like that, cut in half, and then we'll just dice these down like that. They don't have to be in super tiny pieces. These are going to melt into our sauce. So that's something to think about. Skins too. A lot of people like to remove those, but to me it's not really super necessary, which you'll see in a little bit. We got a long stream going here, guys. What are we? Freaking 2 hours. 2 hours and 15 minutes. Still going strong, though. Hopefully, you're getting a little bit of value out of this stream. Just hoping you learned something that you didn't know before. Because that's all I'm trying to do for you. I really, really, really love to cook. And I really love food, and it's just really nice to be able to have a platform to share the thing that I love. Okay, we're going to leave these 3 tomatoes here. We're going to go ahead and start with this. So, back over to the stove. We've already got this on medium heat. So we're going to throw in our tomatoes. Whoa! That's a hot one. Okay. Throw in our garlic. Throw in our shallots. Remember, we don't want all of that. If you put this whole thing in there, then God bless you. Okay. Stir this up again. We really just want to let this sit on pretty low heat. Like a medium to a medium high is perfectly fine for this. This is just kind of melt down all on its lonesome. Let's get that disgusting spoon out of there. That doesn't look good. Yeah, let the sauce do the work for you. Excuse me. Sorry, I didn't mean to blow your ears off there. And then our herb combination. Mix that right in there too. You notice we have these 2 bay leaves in here. Be sure you take those out before you try to serve these. Those are in there for flavor, but they're not really, you don't want to try to eat those. That's gross. You notice we're not adding any tomato sauce or tomato paste or anything like that. Unnecessary. This is going to create all the sauce naturally that we need. And you can see that's actually breaking down pretty fast. We're going to have our marinara here in just a couple of minutes. The bay leaves probably not going to be in there long enough. Typically you'd want to cook this a lot slower and you want to take your time on it. But since we're making this for the video, it's got to be kind of fast-tracked a little. The bay leaves aren't going to add a ton of flavor to it just yet because they're really for sauces and things that are going to be cooked over a long period of time. But you will get a little bit of flavor from it anyway. Oh man, this smells so good too. You can see this is broken down really nice already. In fact, we're probably just about ready. I'm just going to let this thicken a tiny bit more. And we'll bring the heat down as well. Okay, we'll put in our last 4 meatballs. Twist these around, and let's get those bay leaves out of there before I forget. The other one's down in the bottom there somewhere. You know what? We'll leave it for now. All right, let's get this thing plated up. Okay, now for our last one, which is the meatball marinara. On our community post, this was actually the one that got the most votes, but it was pretty close with that and the Swedish meatballs, so I was going to do those 2, but then I just thought, you know what, why don't we just make them all? Why not? Didn't realize what I was getting into at the time, because this has been really long. But if you've got a little bit of entertainment value and learned a couple of things, then I'm happy for you. marinara. Fresh basil. Terrible. Okay. And there is the meatball marinara. You know what? Let's put a little more. That needs a little more basil. Basil's good for you. Little meatball marinara here. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty darn good. Okay, so what we got today was obviously the meatball marinara. Some of these might look kind of funky because they've been sitting now for quite a while, but we're gonna try. This was the honey garlic sesame right here. Oops. Here goes our sweet and sour. There goes our Swedish meatballs. Those have been sitting the longest, so sorry they look like that, but it is what it is. And our creamy tomato basil, which also has been sitting for a bit too. So we thank you so much for coming out and checking out the live stream. We got 5 different meatball ideas for you. If you think any of these, if you really like any of these, we can go do a much more in-depth video on any one of them and bring that up to the YouTube channel if it's something that you want to get into a little bit more. And if not, we thank you so much for hanging out with us and watching this live cooking demonstration. So, until next time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.